Hi guys, welcome to my affordable watch collection. My name is Aviv, and today we are going to take an in-depth look at one of the most interesting watches I got to review, a watch that is claimed to be the world's slimmest diver, the Nove Trident. In this video, I'm going to try and examine this claim and also go through all the specs and measurements, all the features and functions, and of course give you my opinion as to whether or not I think this watch is worth your $450 before discount. I do have a 30% discount code for you that is valid at the time of this video being released, so stick around until the end of this video if you are interested in that. Before we dive into the review, let me start with a disclaimer. This watch was sent to the channel for free and I don't have to give it back, but you can expect nothing but my own honest opinion throughout this entire video. I am going to point out the cons as well as the pros. I made an unboxing and first impressions video of the Trident, so you can check that out if you want to see what comes in the box. I'll leave a link to that video in the description of this one and in the top corner of your screen. With that out of the way, let's start by taking a look at the unusual measurements. The width of the case is 46 millimeters, but the bezel overhangs over it slightly with a width of 47 millimeters. The thickness is listed as 6.8 millimeters, but I actually measured just 6.7 millimeters. That's crazy thin, and it's even thinner than my Casio F91W. The bracelet is 25 millimeters at its widest point where it meets the case, and it tapers down to 22 millimeters at the clasp. Lug tip to lug tip is 48 millimeters, and after I removed a couple of links, the watch weighs 149 grams. Nove is a Swiss micro brand that makes some unique looking watches. You can check their lineup out in their website through the link I'll put in the description. These are watches that are not going to be to everyone's taste, but you have to admit that they are not something you see every day. The Trident is no exception. It is not your usual Submariner-inspired diver, and it too will not be to everyone's liking. It comes in quite a few different colorways, and they do differ in prices. This one is the stainless steel colored variation with the black dial and rose gold accents, and it retails at $450. So let's take a closer look at the watch. The dial is matte black. It has a grainy texture and a very subtle glittering effect. All the elements on the dial are rose gold colored and applied. We have the Nove logo at the 12 o'clock position, Swiss made on the 6 o'clock position, and little domed indices to mark the hours. The sword style hands are faceted and rose gold colored as well. They are highly polished and are the only things on the entire watch that are loomed. There is no seconds hand as well to help keep the watch as slim as possible, and this way you also don't get that quartz sticking hand that many people love to hate. According to Nove's philosophy, we live minute by minute anyway. There's no need for us to live second by second as well. The dial seems to be made to a high standard, and there aren't any complications other than the two hands telling the time. It is quite a minimalistic dial, and perhaps too minimalistic for a dive watch. There is no minute track to help you time your dives, nor is there any loom on the indices, not even on the 12 o'clock for orientation. This unfortunately hurts the actual diving compatibility of the Trident. The bezel has a one-of-a-kind, patented, exposed ratcheting mechanism, where you can actually see the three rose gold colored levers ratcheting as you rotate the bezel. It is a 60 clicks, unidirectional bezel with absolutely zero backplay. The clicking action is very precise, crisp and tactile. You can see how the levers operate to hold the bezel firmly in place by sinking into the shark-toothed inner side of it. The ridges on the outer side of the bezel allow for a fairly firm grip. The numbers going around the bezel are part of the bezel itself. There is no individual insert. They are highly polished, and the background has a sandblasted finish. The only thing missing from this bezel to make it functional for deep sea diving is a loomed pip at the 12 o'clock or any kind of loom that will allow you to see it underwater. This again subtracts from the Trident's ability to actually perform as a dive watch. Here is the loom shot for you. The hands are very bright and legible. They are filled with Swiss Superluminova, so you know you are going to be able to read the time for quite some time using the loom. Another thing to keep in mind is that some people commented about the hands being too similar in shape and size, and that it might be difficult to distinguish between them underwater. The watch sports a scratch-resistant sapphire crystal with some anti-reflective coating applied on its underside. It is connected to the case with some kind of an inner bezel that is holding it in place and has additional hour markers engraved on it, adding another design element to the overall look of the watch. The case is constructed of 316L stainless steel. It has a brushed finish on most of its surfaces, except for the chamfered edges, which are highly polished and add a bit of flair and light play to the case. On the 3 o'clock position, we have the rose gold screw-down crown, protected halfway by crown guards. It has a unique faceted diamond shape, with alternating brushed and polished finishing on its facets. It is signed with the Nove logo and it tethers very smoothly. When you screw it out and pull the crown to its only operating position, you can set the time. The lugs are very wide and they leave 11.5 millimeters for the bracelet to integrate into them. You can actually remove the bracelet by taking these rose gold colored screws out, but to replace it with something else, you will have to have a custom-made strap that will fit in between the lugs. The lugs curve down a bit, and the bracelet drops down right from the edge of the case. The bracelet too is made of 316L stainless steel. The links are solid and have a unique multi-angular design, the vertical brushed finish on top, and the polished finish on the sides. The bracelet is quite hefty and has a milled double deployant clasp with a double pusher security system and the Nove logo integrated to one of its sides. It's a very good bracelet, comfortable and very nicely finished, but it has one major drawback for me, and that's the lack of micro adjustment holes. For me, that means that I have to choose between wearing the watch too tight or too loose. Both are not ideal choices, especially when I can't change the bracelet. The case back is made of stainless steel as well, and it is screwed into place with 4 screws. It has the Nove logo laser etched in the center, and more information than we are used to see on the case back. Now let's talk about the movement behind this case back. I heard people dissing this watch for being quartz operated and saying stuff like, what's the problem making it that thin with a quartz movement? Well, this is not your common $2 Chinese quartz movement. This is a top-of-the-line Swiss-made Ronda SlimTech 1062. It is gold-plated. It has 4 jewels and a battery life of up to 6 years. It is extremely thin at only 1.9 millimeters height, and its stated accuracy is between -10 to +20 seconds per month. Now let's put it on my 7-inch wrist and see how it wears. I have to say that on wrist, the watch feels good. I wish I could get a better fit with the bracelet and actually wear it the way I like it. But nonetheless, the watch does feel good on the wrist. The bracelet is really comfortable and feels premium quality. Despite the larger case diameter, it doesn't wear that big. It is totally wearable, and that of course is thanks to how thin it is. There is just no bulkiness to it. I do wish it was smaller, just because I personally prefer my watches to be up to 42-43 millimeters tops. But I did used to wear larger watches before, and I can say that this wears much better than all the others. And as opposed to those, it will fit under the sleeve of your shirt with no problem. The lug tip to lug tip is short relatively to the case size, and the lugs have a slight curve to them, and so the watch head doesn't overhang off my wrist. If you have small wrists though, I'm not sure this watch is for you. When trying to sum up the experience with this watch and whether or not I can recommend it to you guys, I'm not going to talk about the aesthetics, for that depends on your individual tastes. Some will like the way the Trident looks, and some might not, and that's perfectly okay. Same thing goes for the size. For me, the Trident is a bit too large for my liking, but I know many watch enthusiasts that are into larger watches and will appreciate the 46mm case. And by looking at Nove's lineup, you can see that that is their target audience, people who like large watches. I am going to talk about value and functionality. First of all, this is a 200 meters water resistant watch, and it is extremely thin. This is very cool and well done, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a dive watch. It lacks some key features that will allow it to be called that, mainly loomed indices and some loom on the bezel for orientation. I can definitely see it as a functional fashion watch or a lifestyle watch, and that is exactly what Nove are trying to market this watch as. Let's say you're sitting on the deck of your yacht with your buddies on a warm summer's day and you fancy a jump in the ocean to cool off a bit. This is a great watch to have on your wrist when doing that. Nove can easily address these couple of issues, which were pointed out by basically anyone who reviewed this watch or commented about it, and then they can proudly call it the world's slimmest diver. Second thing is the unique bezel. This is a piece of engineering innovation, and that is something to admire. Any company that is coming up with something new on a watch, especially a small company that doesn't necessarily have the funds big brands have for R&D, deserves recognition and appreciation. They managed to reimagine something that was done a certain way for decades and engineer it into something brand new that is both cool and operational. When it comes to value and to the big question of if this watch is worth $450, I actually believe that if you like the look of this watch, it is worth it. This is a very well-made watch that, despite its shortcomings, has a few main features that make it unique, one of a kind, and these are how extremely thin it is, its ingenuity, and the fact that it is made in Switzerland with high-quality materials and to a high standard. So like I said, this watch is not for everyone, but if you like it, you'll love it. This is a great sports watch. Let me know what you guys think about the Nove Trident by leaving a comment below. If you are interested in checking this watch out, I will leave a link to Nove's website for you in the description of this video. I do have a discount code for you. If you enter the code AWC30 when checking out, you will get 30% off your order of anything from Nove's website. This offer is only valid until the end of September 2020. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my affordable watch collection for more affordable watches related content. Also hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of my new videos. That is also the quickest and easiest way you can support this channel. You can also follow me on Instagram, get to know me and my collection a little bit better, see which watch I'm wearing every day, get all the news about the channel, and connect with me on a more personal level. If you're already here, why not check out another one of my videos? Here are a couple of suggestions. I want to thank Nove for sending this watch in for review. And thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you next time.